Instagram. How are you all? This is Yunis, your sustainable healthy lifestyle specialist. And today we are going to have a special guest that's going to be talking to us about the inner child. Welcome, Nix. We're here today to talk about the inner child. How is our inner child affecting us? We're here to talk about how are we doing life now based on what happened to our inner child as we were growing up. Hey guys. Hi, Shakira. Hey, Boo. Thank you guys for coming. I am excited to talk about the inner child because I think this is something that we don't talk about a lot. And I'm very excited that we've got Bethy, Bethlehem. She's going to be talking to us about how we can heal our inner child. Welcome, Rachel. I'm so excited to have you guys. Please share. Let's share. Let's invite others so they can come and join us so that they can also learn. We can learn together. I'm going to share as well. Share, please. Invite everyone. Let's get them all here. I'm just sharing. Let's share. Let's invite everybody. As many people as you can invite. Done. Perfect. Welcome, Winnie. Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. I am just waiting for Bethy to join us. Oh, she's here. Amazing. Times. Bethy, let me know if it's letting you in. I am accepting. I think normally I've had to do it several times before it will let us go live together. I have invited you. See if it's going to let you in. Yeah, you've requested. I am accepting it. I think it does take a while. Every time I've done this, it has taken me a while for it to accept. So I'll just keep accepting. It says you're not able to join. Let's try again. I think it's gone. There we are. Yay! Yeah, it normally takes quite a bit of trials to get in, but welcome.
Thank you.
So excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I am ready to learn about my inner child.
Okay. You're most
my
welcome.
Inner child. Today, I'm ready to meet with her. And I'm so ready. Please introduce yourself and let us know who you are, what do you do, and tell us about this inner child, because I'm sure we are all excited to learn about it.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me loud and
Hey.
clear?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay, so I am Bethy Arden. I'm an inner healing specialist. I'm also a social worker, a social well-being consultant,
Wow.
a marriage moisturizer founder,
Mm-hmm.
a bereavement and grief support. So that is Bethy for you.
Wow, Betty, those are so many hats. I am glad I did not attempt. I am
So,
glad that I did not
yeah.
attempt
Mm-hmm.
to give you the titles, because I'm sure I would not have done it justice.
Actually, you did it justice by calling me an inner healing specialist, because all these, the foundation is actually the inner child. The
I
inner
see.
child,
Okay.
yes, the
Mm-hmm.
inner child affects your marriage. The
Yeah.
inner child affects your how you grieve when you lose a
Mm-hmm.
loved one. The
Yeah.
inner child affects your social well-being.
Mm-hmm.
So the foundation is the inner child. So the inner healing
Right.
is what
Yeah.
actually works on that inner child.
Ah, makes sense.
Yes.
Makes sense. So who is the inner child and how do we recognize our inner child? Tell us about this. Like I feel for me, like it's an introduction to the inner child. I don't know
Okay.
about others. Guys, comment. Am I alone on this? Do you understand your inner child? Do you understand how your inner child affects you? Like I know between the age of 0 to 7, that's where we have the subconscious or the unconscious formed, and it's
Mm-hmm.
formed through the things that we observe,
Mm-hmm.
what we learn, what we see, the environment that we are in, right?
Yes.
I know
Mm-hmm.
that, right? But I don't actually know too much about like how your inner child then affects your adulthood and everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know it will have an impact, but I think maybe you can help us with understanding that. Guys, do you understand how your inner child affects you? Comment on here. Let's see. I'm sure I'm not on my own.
So what happens is we
Mm-hmm.
can actually tell your inner child from
Mm-hmm.
your behaviors and characteristics. There are certain
Okay.
traits, yes,
Mm-hmm.
the way you behave, there are certain traits and characteristics that point
Mm.
to us that this Yunis, this Bethy, this Sherin, this
Mm.
Kaschana,
Yeah.
whoever it is, their
Yeah.
inner child is wounded, and that inner child needs
Ooh.
attention from your behaviors, even
Mm-hmm.
from the way you eat food, even
Ooh.
all these addictive behaviors. They usually point to the wounded inner child. So that the adult characteristics and traits are
Mm-hmm.
the ones that point us to what kind of inner child you are carrying. Because that inner child is actually
Mm-hmm.
that child that is within you. It's that child that
Wow.
lives in you.
Wow.
That
Okay.
child.
Betty, 1 second. Let's just get, guys, this is really good stuff. We need to share. Please share with everyone. Send these to 10 people. Let them come in. Let them learn about their inner child. Let them know how they're being, right? Let's see let us understand how we are being and how that being is affecting our adult life, our behaviors, it's affecting our lifestyle. Like the things that we are doing is actually being governed by this. And I think it's really important for us to understand this. Sorry, Betty, carry on.
Oh, where was I now? So what I was saying is, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times this inner child is actually sensed or more visible, like
Mm.
to a professional or to the people around you when
Yeah.
you are faced with a challenge. How
Oh,
do you manage
interesting.
that challenge?
Yeah.
Like, let's say if you lost a job today,
Mm.
how will you manage that loss of a job? If your
Yeah.
inner child is wounded, you will go into depression immediately.
Mm.
While somebody whose inner child is healed, like there's no pain in the inner
Yes.
child, in the heart,
Yeah.
that person will actually look at it as, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to explore other avenues. Maybe this is an
Opportunity for
opportunity
growth.
for me for
Yeah.
growth, maybe to look for a better job, maybe to start a business. It's
Yeah.
the way, it's how your thought pattern is conditioned. And this is actually stemming from that inner child. Is the inner child wounded, or is the inner child healed? So
I
most of the
see.
time comes from the triggers, the challenges that are happening around you. How are you coping? How are you dealing with them?
Wow. John says Northampton is well represented. I love it.
Almost.
Tell us where you're listening from, where you're joining us live from. This is amazing. We want the reach to be worldwide. We want to get everybody. We want everybody to heal their inner child. Why? Because we want a society and a community that is whole. Right? Because what I'm hearing you say is, if my inner child is wounded and I did not seek the help I needed to heal, that I will be doing things based on that woundedness. I don't know if
Yes,
there's a word like that,
yes, that is
right?
actually correct. Because what
So
happens
really,
is,
we need the healing.
yes, it's very important to get the healing, because as human beings, we are
Mm,
created in three parts. We have the spirit, we
mm-hmm.
have the body, and then
Yes.
we have the soul, and the soul is actually represented by the inner child.
Ah,
Yes.
okay. Wait. Say that again for those ones in the back.
We are created as a three-part being. So we are spirit,
Mm-hmm.
soul, and body.
And body.
Your inner child, your
Mm.
behaviors,
Yeah.
your emotions, your feelings, your free will
Mm.
are actually the soul. The soul is the free will, the emotions,
Yeah.
and your mind. So all these
Wow.
can be traced to
Mhm.
what? To the inner child.
Yes, because they
So
work together.
they work together, yes.
Hmm. Wow. So, Betty, how would you know? Like, is there, if you met someone, right? How
Yes.
would you know that their inner child is wounded? Like, give us ideas of examples of like behaviors or characteristics or
Yes.
personalities, or
Yes.
give us ideas, like, so that we can be able to see whether we ourselves have those characteristics.
Yes. So one thing about someone whose soul is wounded, that inner child needs help. Number one, you'll find that okay, I'll just give you a few examples. There are so many. They are around, when I do my assessments, I take people through almost 45 to, even now I have 50. And you
Wow.
find that some people will only have maybe 10, 20, it depends. Because what happens, some people have actually taken steps and dealt with some of those issues in their life.
Yes.
So when they come to me, it's just, like I call it, we just use the lawnmower to
Yes.
remove what is on top. We just cut the grass. But
Yes.
then there are those that need deeper work, which is
The
now
roots.
the root. We
Mm.
now go to that inner child and
Yes.
look at what was programmed in that inner child between the age of
Mm.
0 to 6. And even
Yes.
after the age of 6, there are so many things that still happen to that inner child, which are
Mm.
still absorbed in the subconscious mind. Because a
Yes.
child sometimes does not have they don't have the mechanism to say
Yes.
no. So they
Yes.
absorb everything and they
Mm.
suppress. So some
Yes.
of these characteristics that you'll notice in an adult, you'll
Mm.
find like they have addictive behaviors. When they are going
Ah.
through challenges, a person
Yeah.
who is wounded in the soul, they might just
Yes.
take maybe one bottle of wine and they'll
Yeah.
be so drunk and they'll want
Mm-hmm.
more, or maybe they'll
Mm.
experiment with drugs and
Mm.
they become addicted to the drugs, they want more and more. They
Yes.
never have enough.
Yes.
When somebody who is healed in the soul, when they are drinking maybe that alcohol, it's more for social reasons. Let's go for dinner, let's have a glass or two of wine. It's for
Yeah.
socializing. But the
Yes.
person who has a wounded heart, who has the inner child which is wounded,
Mm.
they are
Mm.
drinking because to just suppress that
To cover.
emotion, to
Mm.
cover, yes,
Mm.
to cope with the day and day nitty-gritties.
Which I suppose would also make sense when we say about emotional eating, when
Yes,
people eat their feelings rather than
yes,
feel their feelings.
yes, that's
So
correct.
if somebody is emotionally eating, that's a
Yes,
sign of a wounded inner child.
yes, yes. Because they have
Wow.
to numb, they have to numb that pain. So
Yes.
emotional eating, like just eating, because your free will, like we have the free will, which is choices,
Mm.
but when you are
Yes.
wounded, you don't have that strong free will. So you
Yes.
find that you cannot say no to food. You have cravings. You find, like you'll be so surprised that even children or even adults who
Mm.
tend to have like problems with even their education, like they take
Yeah.
long to finish, procrastination, all these
Yeah.
things can
Ooh.
actually be traced to a
Hang
wounded
on.
inner
Hang
child.
on. Hang
Mm.
on. Guys, did you hear that? If you're procrastinating, if you're
Mm.
a master procrastinator, you need to ask yourself questions about what's the state of your inner child. Wow, that's heavy.
Yes.
If you're
And
overeating, if you're
yes.
emotionally
Oh,
eating, if you're
yes.
having cravings, the
Yes.
problem might actually be the fact that you are trying to numb that
Yes.
unhealed inner
Mm.
child.
Yes.
That's
Be-
important.
Very. Because what happens sometimes, I've had people telling me they have
Mm.
tried this diet, they have tried this diet, they've tried this diet, or they say diets don't work. No,
Oh yeah.
diets actually work, but they only work if you have dealt with that inner child, because that inner child is the one that is eating. It's not you that is craving for that food. It's the inner child. They're trying to
Mm.
deal with something that happened when they were 6 years old, 5 years old, or when they were teenagers. They don't know how to express it. And so they're always eating. So you find that those people, they really need to go through the inner healing. Even I've worked with two clients,
Mm.
and after I finished working with them is when they actually went and did some work, like they did
Mm.
some diet, like health related diets.
Yeah.
And it was so successful because we dealt with their free will, we dealt with their emotion, and
Mm.
we dealt with their mind. So they were
So you
okay.
dealt with the why. You dealt with the
Yes,
root. Because the
yes,
root is that
yes,
there is a wounded inner child, but
yes.
the
Uh,
expression is expressing in the form of emotional eating,
yes,
being like procrastinators, being
yes,
people who have no resilience in
yeah.
life.
Mm-hmm.
So but when we look at these people, we judge them. We judge them thinking
We
like, oh my
judge
God, you're
them.
so impatient. But
Yeah,
actually, this
it's not their
child, this
fault.
person's inner child is crying out for help.
We cry not for help. We need to embrace them
Wow.
and point them we direct them to where they can get help, because it's not their desire. Even people who have multiple partners,
Yes.
their inner child,
Ooh.
multiple sexual partners. Why would you want to sleep with A, B, C? Today, tomorrow, you are always jumping in bed with different partners. And you know very well
Ooh.
the dangers of having, like sex. But
Yeah.
it's because of that inner child. There are some things which are so deep, very deep, that so we don't condemn people, we don't judge them. I remember when I was doing my social work degree, and
Mm.
the one thing in social work, never judge. Even if you find someone drinking 10 bottles of wine, you don't judge them. I didn't understand. Coming from the background I came from
Yes.
a very judgmental background. But then when
Mm.
I started working with these people, I was so sad and I felt so sorry for them, because all they need is just to be pointed to the right place.
The help.
They just need help. They don't need to be judged. That inner child is crying.
Wow. I think that's such an amazing and a profound thing you've just said. Like,
Yeah.
if you find that when you look back, you realize that you've had a string of multiple, like, relationships. Some of them are not
Yes.
even relationships. They're just like
Yeah.
one night stands and stuff.
One night stands,
There's
yeah.
a problem. And the problem is that your inner child is wounded and just
It's
needs
wounded.
love
Yes.
and
It just
healing.
needs love. It just needs to be embraced. And the inner child doesn't know what doesn't know love. Maybe they never experienced love when they were growing up. And sometimes what happens, I'll mention what childhood emotional neglect is, because childhood emotional neglect is very subtle. Most
Yeah.
parents actually do it to their children unknowingly, unconsciously, and they don't
God
even
help us.
realize. Yeah, they don't even realize that they are harming their children. They actually do it out. They don't realize. Like maybe they provide for their children the basic needs, the material wealth. They send them
Yeah.
to the most expensive schools.
Mm.
They give them nannies. They have maids in the house. If they want anything, the kitchen is open 24 hours. They eat what they want. There's no shortage of food. But you find that this child grows up to be an adult, but they are so reckless. They are trying to commit suicide, and you're asking yourself,
What's
the
going
parents
on?
are asking, I've given you everything in life. What more do you want?
Yeah.
The child maybe
But
is
not
rebellious.
thinking everything,
Eh,
because for them, and I think I can see what you mean by when we say everything, it's
yes.
everything in terms of material things,
Material, yes.
but not the affection.
Not the affection, because maybe both parents have very high flying careers. They are both working. And for
Yeah.
them, they have also been conditioned that you need to make money. Money
Yes.
talks. So they
Yeah.
are working, and they're even telling their children, you see how I'm slaving for you, for your sake. Not understanding that that child maybe has gone to school. He was bullied at school, but who picked him from school? The driver. They cannot
Yeah.
start sharing with the driver what went on at school.
Mm.
You,
Mm.
mom, coming home, you come home very late at night. You don't have that emotional bond with your children. Your children are already asleep. So you don't know what happened at school. You find the child is rebellious, they don't want to go to school, but you've
Yeah.
never ever sat down with that child to ask them, how was your day? Tell me
Mm.
how your day went. How was your
We're not
teacher?
relating.
We
Mm.
are not relating. We live
Mm.
in the same house, but we live in two different worlds. We live in a world where we believe if I am providing for their material well-being, that's enough. Well, that child is seeking for and yearning for that emotional
Connection.
connection.
Mm.
Yes.
Somebody's asked a question, and I don't want it to miss, because when people start putting the messages, it goes. So I'd like to know: does religion have a responsibility in healing the inner child?
Let me say this to you.
Mm-hmm.
God created us as
Mm-hmm.
three-part being:
Yes.
spirit, soul, and body.
Yes.
Spirit is whereby we are connected with God.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a Christian, you know that Jesus is the healer.
Yes.
So Jesus heals the soul.
Mm. But you have to ask him.
Wait, yes, let me just go on. The
Okay.
body,
Carry on.
the
Carry on.
body, the
Yes.
body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. The
Yes.
Holy Spirit dwells in the body. So
Yes.
this is the Trinity.
Yeah.
So for Jesus to heal your soul,
Mm.
you are the one who has to ask him.
Mm.
Jesus
So
is
that's
always,
where the catch is.
yes,
The asking.
Jesus is always asking us, what can I do for you? Remember
Mm.
when he met that blind man? He didn't say, oh, Bartimaeus, I can see you are blind, let me heal you. He asked him, what can I do for you? That was such an
That's
obvious
true. And
question.
Batman had to say, Jesus, son of David, have
Yes,
mercy on me.
yes.
Mm.
So Jesus has been asking us this question: what can I
Yes.
do for you? It's up to us. It's up to us
To
to
us.
say, Jesus, I want you to heal me. And how does
Mm.
Jesus heal us these days? You know, when we come to church, because this has been empowered to
Mm.
individuals. Because you
Yes.
also have to understand the biology of the
Mm-hmm.
brain, neurobiology. All these
Yeah.
things are all included.
Mm.
So even in church, we are supposed to be ministering. We are supposed to
Mm.
be encouraging people.
Mm.
You know, we should not look at church as God. They are two separate things.
They are
You
very
can
separate.
go to God. God is the healer.
Yeah.
God is
And
the
I
healer.
think, there's somebody who, I think Sandra is saying, so are pastors responsible in facilitating it, guiding you to your healing? And if I can just comment a little bit on that and
Yes,
correct me
please.
if I'm wrong. For you to now go and ask for healing, you first of all have to understand that you have wounding in you.
Yes, yes.
But then how do you go and ask when you don't even understand that already that inner child
Oh,
is actually, wounded? So I
yeah.
think the first part is always the acknowledging, the understanding, and the acknowledging. Oh, my child, now 1 second. Make sure I plug this in. There we go, sorted. So that we can be able to understand that, okay, we need healing because we are wounded. It's about understanding that. And I think that's why we are having this conversation today, so that when we go back to ourselves, we can think about, she said these are the symptoms. Do I have these symptoms? How is my inner child? What is the health of my inner child? Is my inner child whole, or is my inner child wounded? So I think before you even go and seek the help, you need to first of all understand. Now, tell us, do the pastors have a responsibility in facilitating it?
Are you asking
And I
me?
think this is a question that is open to opinion.
Okay. So, you see, a pastor is a human being like you and me.
Yeah.
Before I actually studied social work, I didn't even understand anything about the inner child.
Mm.
So you see, you need an awareness. You have to also acknowledge that, you know what, I think my soul is wounded. The inner child is wounded. You have to start
Mm.
thinking, how was your upbringing? Were your
Yes.
parents available in the home? Who was
Yes.
taking care of you? That is the foundation. The foundation is usually the parents.
Yes.
And then there's now the other areas, like
Mm.
teachers. Teachers also
Yes.
play a very big role in that child's, in the inner child.
Mm.
So, we should not always expect, like some things are spiritual, which
Yes.
pastors can deal with. But when it
Mm.
comes to the inner child, there is biology, there is the
Absolutely. And I love
neurobiology.
what Joanne just put on this. She said, I believe the pastors first need to be equipped with this information.
Yeah,
100%, 100%. Because if they themselves don't understand it, you
they
cannot pour
don't.
from an empty cup. They need to actually have had not only the knowledge, but the
Yeah,
training
yes, the
to be able to
training.
help. Because,
Yes.
yes, because we also have wounded clergy. 100%. Oh my God. Yes.
Let me say
It's
this.
important for us to understand.
Yeah, because the thing is, in fact, in
Mm.
the month of April, I want to launch a program where I will
Mm-hmm.
target the pastors, the clergy, because the thing is, the pastors
Thank your
themselves are
pastors. Thank
wounded.
your pastors, guys. Thank your pastors. Let them hear this. Let them get trained and equipped for this.
Like when you are working on the inner child, Yunis, and everybody who
Mm.
is here, we
Mm.
also deal with church wounds.
Oh God.
Yes,
Yes.
because even like, let's just be honest here, because we are trying to learn and we are trying to help each other. There are
Mm.
people who have been abused in
Yeah.
church. There are
Yeah.
people who have been used in church.
Wounded. Mm.
There are people who have been hurt by
Mm.
pastors, prophets, members of the church, members of the congregation.
Mm.
So they're actually wounded. They need help.
Yeah. Because hurt people hurt
Hurt
people.
people, yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you need the training. And you know, the thing is, even medical doctors, they are, I actually learned this recently, that medical doctors have a gift of knowledge. That is a knowledge they got from God. But they had to activate that gift by going to school to learn. So
For
even
6 years.
for 6 years, they have to spend time. You have to activate the gift. So even when you want pastors to do this, those pastors have a gift. You all have a gift. You have to identify, yes, this is the area I'm called. You have to go to school and get it activated. You can't just sit and wait. The gift has already been given to you. But that activation, you can't wait and say,
It's just gonna fall
it's
on
gonna
you.
fall from heaven. It has already fallen from heaven to you. It's up to you to activate it. So the pastors need to be equipped.
And
Everybody
you
needs to
know,
be equipped.
when you say that, it's so true, because I'm just thinking, well, I've never gone to clergy school, or what is it called, theology school, and I'm just wondering, I wonder whether this is something they get taught. I wonder whether there's some sort of training, because when you think about the role they play, they deal with a lot of hard people. They deal
Yes.
with a lot of people who are going through a lot of issues in life, issues that are happening now, or issues that are happening as a result of this wounded child, right?
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, I don't know if there's a pastor amongst us that could tell us, those, if you're a pastor on here and you've gone through clergy school or theology school, tell us, is this things you get taught? Do you get preparation? Do you get equipped for the job that will come, and the training? Do you get the equipping that you will need to deal with these people? It's just making me think, I actually don't know about that. I've never thought about it. And that's why it's so important to have this conversation with you, Bethy, because you are opening our eyes, and now we are like, oh, wow. Okay. Step back, step back, step back. Before you start running and I'm not saying that it's wrong for you to go and speak to your men and women of God, but actually it's being able to now understand, what is my inner child going through? And then 2, who's the most appropriate person to seek help from? Just because your pastor is your spiritual covering, they are covering the spiritual part of the 3 in 1. They're not covering the soul. So really, is your pastor the right person to help you with your wounded child? That's the question. Oh, you're making us sweat, Bethy. You're making us sweat. Now you're making us think about all these things that we do that we never think about.
Yes, because a lot of us, including myself, before I did train and understood all this. If I had maybe like 10 or 15 names of pastors on my contact list. If I have a problem, I'll always run to a pastor. But then I realized the problem, do you know that the only one who can heal you of that inner child is God?
Yes.
And how does God work? God works through people like Healing with Bethy, people like Yunis Ogada, people like, like people who understand. God has equipped us, in short, because God can't come from heaven and say, okay, my child, you have an inner child, let me heal you. Let's be very pragmatic. Let's just be serious here. So even you see, like medical doctors, when they are doing their duties, God is the one who heals through the doctors.
Yeah.
So everybody has their ministry.
They treat.
Yes.
God heals.
God heals. So when you're looking for inner healing, you need to go to an inner healing specialist. You need to maybe see a psychologist, a psychiatrist. But I'm telling you.
So, guys, what she's saying in short is, that person you've been going to, do they have the qualifications to help you heal your inner child? Are you seeking help from the wrong professional?
Yeah.
Food for thoughts.
Because sometimes we even go to our friends and they are not really equipped. They don't even understand. You go to a friend and tell them, I feel like committing suicide. It will be all over the social media. They'll be talking about you, but they don't understand that you are actually in pain and you need help. But if you came to someone like me and you told me you are thinking of committing suicide, I will straight away take you through what is making you want to commit suicide. I won't judge you because that's where I'm equipped.
Yes. You have the skills, you have the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with Joan. That's not a friend. I agree. If somebody comes and confides in you and you share it, that's not friendship.
You know, sometimes
Right?
people share it because they
I
also
do. I
don't know
know
how to
they
deal
do.
with it.
Yes.
You know, like they don't want that responsibility that, you know, this was offloaded on them and then they
Yeah.
kept it to themselves because they'll be blamed if anything happened to you.
But that's a very valid point, Bethy, because think of it this way. If you think about the conversations you've been having with your friends, those conversations, having listened to this conversation we are having here, are they conversations of a friend whose inner child needs healing? And those are the questions I want us to think about. Don't just think about yourself too. Think about your community. Think about the people around you, your loved ones. What have they been talking to you about? And what they're talking to you about, is it illustrating or showing signs of needing inner healing of their inner child healing? We have to think about these things. We have to think about it from our own perspective, but we think inwards and we also think outwards. So, what advice have you been giving your loved ones, your friends, about the pain they're going through? Did you realize that pain, the root was that they have a wounded inner child? And what advice did you give them? And what advice do you now need to go back and say to them, you know that conversation we had? I was listening to this IG live and they were talking about inner child and having a wounded inner child. Yeah, pay attention to what's happening to your clients, to your loved ones, to your work colleagues, to the people around you. Pay attention to yourself first because you have to pour from having something, but also pay attention to the conversations happening around you. This is important. It's about having that awareness for self and for others. This is really, really good. Carry on, Bethy. Carry on. Oh my God.
Yes.
Now you're making my brain go.
So the other aspect about the inner child, it also affects the kind of relationships you attract. If you are a woman whose inner child is wounded, you are likely to attract a man whose inner child is also wounded. And that's why you find that marriages are not working. Yes. Imagine it's a double portion. You come with your inner child wounded. Your future husband comes with an inner child which is wounded. You come and live together. That's a double portion of like wounds. And that's why you find that
the problem is the marriages, not the people. Oh my God. That is like, well. So, guys, if you're here and you're having problems in your relationships, if you're here and you have people around you who are having problems with their relationship, the question that we are asking ourselves is, could it be that we are dealing with two people who came together, but they were not whole because their inner child was wounded? And now they are hurting each other because hurt people hurt people. Oh, carry on. Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'll just use this vocabulary. When we have these two people who are both wounded coming together, we actually call it fragmentation. Your soul is fragmented and his soul is fragmented. So you can imagine all those pieces coming together. It's like it's just something else.
So there can't be that oneness.
No, that is two-ness now. No, that is two-ness.
It can't be even two-ness because your soul came in so many little fragmented pieces.
Yes,
His soul
yes.
came in many little fragmented pieces. And just forgive us if we say he, she, because we married to males. So, yeah. But, oh my God. Yes, dysfunction upon dysfunction equals fragmentation. Absolutely.
Yes.
Keep the comments coming. I'm loving the comments as well. It's a
Thank you.
conversation for all of us. It's not just a conversation for me and Bethy. It's a conversation for all of us. We are all
Broken.
here to learn
Yeah. Okay.
about how our inner child is affecting us.
Yeah. Sandra Adu has written broken families, broken communities.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Sandra. And
Mm.
let me say this, wounded leaders, they produce wounded nations.
Oh my goodness. We need help. We need help. When are you doing the program for the leaders again? So that one for the pastors, it looks like we need one for the leaders as well.
We need one for the leaders, because the reason that
We
we
do.
have all these issues in the communities, in the society, is because we have actually put in office wounded leaders who have never dealt with their traumas. So their trauma is being projected on their people.
Oh,
Because you see, the thing, yes.
Ooh. I think maybe we need something in the constitutions. Now you're saying that, I'm thinking maybe these people need to go through once they get chosen in office, or before. I don't know if we do it after they get chosen or before after they get chosen. So we are appropriating the resources properly. Maybe they need some sort of program to actually go through that, so that they don't bring fragmentation to the nation.
Yes. Because
anointing flows from the top. So if
yes.
they are fragmented, that's the fragmented anointing that is flowing.
Yes. Do you know in the Bible it always says pray for your leaders. Why should we pray for our leaders?
Now we understand.
Now we understand. It makes sense.
Wow. Wounded leaders result in wounded nations. We had another live with Shakira, and she said there is no developed nation that will ever come over out of undeveloped people. And now you saying this has just like added another level to that. That wounded leaders lead wounded nations. Wounded pastors
congregation
people, and they cause more trauma. Wounded husbands and wounded wives.
Okay, wait. Wounded pastors create wounded congregation or parishioners.
Oh, okay. We need a minute. We need a minute. Give us a minute. We need a minute to digest that information. It's just a bit too heavy. Guys, please share this with somebody. Let them come and hear this, because guess what? We are all leaders. Wounded teachers. Oh my God!
Yes. Because in the healing program, I run, Yunis, I always ask the children, the adults now, because I work with adults. I'm a children's social worker by training. I did social work children and social work adults, but I always wanted to be children because I was an only child, so I've always wanted to be around children. But when I'm working with adults, I always ask them to share their school experience. What kind of teachers did you have? Because a wounded teacher will create a wounded student.
Ooh. Where is our hope? Like, we have wounded leaders, wounded clergy, wounded teachers, wounded leaders, wounded employers and bosses and managers, and wounded coaches.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness. This is something that we all need to internalize and process.
Yes.
The teachers transfer their trauma onto our children. Lord have mercy.
And you know, the thing is that even that's why when your children are even going to school, we need to be praying for them a hedge of fire, a hedge of blood, and we speak over our children and say, Father, let nothing be transferred to my child. And in fact, we need to be dedicating the child to God and saying, Father, this is your child. I am just a steward, or you understand?
Yes. You know, you say that, and I'm just thinking about the prayer that I pray with my boys at night,
Yeah.
and we are usually thanking God and praying for their teachers. But now, not to add another layer.
Yes, you
Now we
have
have to
to.
pray for their healing. Because if they are not healed, they are going to transfer that woundedness to the
Yeah,
children. And the poor children, they are
yeah,
still in their below 7.
yeah.
So their programming is still happening. So
Mm-hmm.
they're starting with these wounded teachers. The
Yeah.
programming that has happened, they started with the wounded parents, and then now they've gone into the wounded teachers.
Yeah.
Like, where do they actually get some relief?
Yeah. I think it's also good. It's also good to pray that the teacher gets help. You know, like the teacher realizes that they
Yeah.
become aware that, you know what, my
I
child
think we need
was
to send this
actually,
live to all these teachers. If you know your school teachers and they're on Instagram, please share this live with them. They need to hear this. Wow. Oh my God. Yes, the prayers just went another notch.
we need to pray that for God to open the teacher's eyes and ears so that they can realize that, you know what, I need help.
They need
Because
help.
once they get help, a better teacher, a healed teacher, also
Yes.
imparts healing to that child.
Mm.
But if it's wounded, they also impart something to that child.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, by and think of it this way: you helping that teacher, and by helping, in this case, I'm using myself as an example. I can't go and talk to the teachers and tell them you need to go and get help because I don't even know if they need the help. But I can pray for them that God open their eyes that they can be able to understand and have the awareness where they need help. They can be able to seek that help. They can be able to be whole. But remember, we also say that Jesus is the healer, right? And the Bible says that if somebody is unwell and they cannot be able to pray for themselves, you pray for them until they can be able to pray for themselves. So we now, as parents, have to now step in that gap and now pray for these teachers so they can get the healing they need. Right? And we are speaking about this because we are both Christians. So if you are of a different faith, we are not disregarding your faith. We can only just speak what we have, what we know. But
You know,
it's the same everywhere.
one thing is that we all faith, they pray. We all believe in the
Yes.
God of Abraham. So we all believe in a God who created us. So whichever God that you believe created you, you can pray to them. You can
Yeah.
pray a hedge of fire around your children. Fire is across every religion. If you are a Christian, you can
It's
always pray
universal.
it's universal. Thank you, Yunis. If you are a Christian, you can always pray a hedge of blood around your children. And these children, you've already given them back to their father. You are
Yes.
just a custodian. Remember that you are just a
Yeah. We're
custodian.
just the custodians. Yes.
Yeah.
But
So you
that's,
all,
you have touched on so many things. We've touched on ourselves, understanding how is your inner child and does your inner child need healing, right? And then understanding as well is my inner child impacting on my children, my husband, my sisters, my parents, my work colleagues, my clients, everybody that is in contact with me. Somebody just said that when you're wounded, you bleed onto everyone you come into contact with. So are you bleeding onto everyone that you come into contact with? That's the question. Do you need to speak to Bethy, who is an inner child healing specialist, fully trained, fully equipped, or do you still want to go and speak to your pastor who doesn't have the same equipping? Do you want to go and speak to your friends? Do you want to go and speak to your parents who are wounded and therefore they wounded you because they were your parents?
yeah.
Right? And we're not saying that those people, you cannot talk to them. What we are saying is recognize when you need help and recognize the right person to seek help from.
Sandra, you are right. I
Yeah.
I've come across pastors' wives. They say, Betty, can you please pray for me? And I'm telling them, your husband is a pastor, he prays for you every day. Are you
Mm.
sure you want prayer from me? Because I believe what I do is
Yeah.
more than prayers. I pray,
Mm.
yes, but there's
Yes.
also it's a process.
Yeah.
There's work that has to be done.
Yeah.
You can't, like some things, there's some things which are actually, I can't pray for you to clean your house. Your house could be the cause of some of the trauma you are going through. So I can't just start
Right.
to pray for you to be
In your
cleaning your
environment.
house.
Mm.
We have to do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Insanity is putting in the same thing and expecting different results.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So
100%.
sometimes, people even abuse the office of prayers. You are
Mm.
always praying. You are always praying for some things which don't need prayer. You just need
Some
to
things
take
just need you to
action.
get to work and do the work.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. That is so true. That is so true. So now, what do we need to do? We've all had this, right? We need to, first of all, we need to share this information. We need to listen to this again because I think we need to internalize. Yeah, prayer is a deflection mechanism. Right. So are you using prayers correctly?
Most of the times, Christians abuse the office of prayers.
That's
Because
the
you
question.
find,
Are we
yeah,
using them correctly? Or are we using them to cover? Because listening to everything you say today, one thing that I've taken away from here is I need to use prayer as the tool that God takes me to God and say, God, I have realized that my inner child is wounded. And now I desire for you to heal me. Therefore, I come to ask for you to heal me. Right? Not to say that I've prayed about it, that's it. Like, did you first of all understand that your inner child was hurt or wounded? It's the awareness first. Secondly, do you know who is the right person you need to seek help from? And three, do they have a track record of helping people deal with their inner child issues? Because you can't just go to anyone because they said they are this. You need to see the proof. This one here has track record. Proven. Worked with many people. Go to our social media pages. You see all the testimonials on there.
in fact, Yunis, this is so interesting. I am writing my first book. The one I'm writing is actually about
Ooh.
testimonials because
Yes.
the testimonies have blown my mind. There are
Wow.
people who have stopped drinking alcohol. There are people whose marriages, especially the marriage moisturizer, all the ladies' marriages have been restored.
Mm.
Because what I do, it's called healing entanglement. This is actually a gift from God. Even with my
Mm.
training and everything, this is like a gift. In the healing entanglement, like in the marriage
Mm.
moisturizers,
Yes.
marriages have been restored. I ran a class on Thursday, which is spirit-led class.
Mm.
And some of those women, one doesn't come these days. And I say, why don't
Mm.
you come? She says, because Betty, my husband used to be out all night. That's why I was able to come to class. But after that marriage moisturizer, my husband is home at 7, so I can't attend any class after 8 p.m.
Wow. That's a testimony on its own.
Yeah, it's going to be in the book.
Because this person has become healed, their inner child has become healed, and therefore they are no longer dishing out hurt. So even the people who were avoiding them have
Yeah.
no reason to avoid them anymore. Now they want to come and spend time with them. Right? Guys, it's out here. You heal your inner child, you transform your life.
Yeah.
That's it. You healing your inner child is transforming not just your life, but the life of everybody around you. Because
Yes.
if you're wounded, you bleed onto everybody that comes across you. So who's the first person that is going to be you're going to bleed on? The people you live with in the same house. So this woman was wounded, and so the husband used to not come because he did not want to be around that bleeding. Now the wounding has healed. There's no more bleeding. He wants to be there at 7 o'clock. I don't think I can say anything else beyond that. That in itself is mind blowing. It shows, illustrates exactly what we need to do. We need to heal our inner child. We need to heal our inner child. So, Bethy, what are the things that maybe we might be overlooking that would be showing us that we have an issue with our inner child, that maybe it's not so obvious? Is there anything that you've picked out that you've seen in the clients you work with that this is not a very in your face thing?
Okay,
Heal your
so
inner
like,
child, transform your life. One, absolutely. I agree
yes,
with you, Christiana.
yeah. So it's come again, come again.
So is there anything that you have worked out that it's not like out here, like for example, emotional eating is like in your face, right?
Yeah.
Is there other smaller things that we need to be aware of that might be signs and symptoms of having a wounded inner child that we need to pay attention to?
Oh yes, there is even, like even lack of sleep. Having
Oh,
insomnia usually
yeah.
points to an inner hurt, like you cannot sleep. Maybe you are thinking about so many things, you are thinking
Mm.
about your financial. In fact, the effect of an inner child is lack of finances. Money
That's
does
for
not,
those ones at the back. Say it again for those ones at the back.
money, you struggle to get money, and if you make money, you lose it very easily. You cannot even put a factor to how you've spent that money. Money is usually one of the factors.
So if you say that I'm bad with my money, you're not bad with your money. You have an
No, you're
inner
not.
child issue.
Yes.
Ouch.
Mm.
Guys, I hope you are getting this like I am.
Mm.
If you have a problem with managing your money, the problem isn't the money. The problem isn't the lack of money management skills. The problem is that you have an issue with an unhealed and a wounded inner child. That's
Yes.
really, really important.
Because the inner child actually has a voice. It speaks to you. It can
Oh,
actually make you spend money on something that is worthless. You find, like you
wow.
find some women, they buy cosmetics and they don't even use them. You are wasting the
Mhm.
money. You lack money management skills. Like things like, even you start a course, you start your master's, everybody's finishing, graduating. You down the line 5 years, you're still doing the same master's.
Hang on a minute. So, guys, in other words, what she's saying is if you are doing self development, not self development, you have an inner child issue. Deal with it. How many courses have you bought and not
Mm.
taken?
Yes.
How many books have you
Mm.
bought and not even read past page 2?
Mm.
How many things have you committed to and not done?
Yes.
Those are signs and symptoms. I
Mm.
did say it, the specialist did.
The other thing that you'll notice, if you are a coach or if you are a teacher and you have that student who is wounded, they usually have like a rebellious spirit. You give them homework to do. Everybody will try and finish the homework, but this one student will not do the homework. And they will always have excuses. And some of those excuses are valid, but it's just something like they have they have a magnet that attracts all these excuses for them not to do the work.
Are you doing your homework? Oh my God, this is deep. Are you doing your homework? Do you always have a reason why you did not do your homework? Oh my God, guys. We need to look in the mirror. That's where the inner child healing starts. Looking in the mirror. Are you the rebellious child that never finishes? Well, not child, you know. Are you the rebellious person that is not doing the homework given to you by whoever? Why? Do you have issues with your inner child? Do you need to seek help? Help is here. Wow. Carry on.
Anger, that's the emotional side now. Anger. Anger is an indicator of something deeper.
Yeah.
And
somebody says going round in circles in specific areas of life.
You're right.
It's getting hot in here. Bethy bringing the fire. Oh my goodness. Anger. Are you always angry? Does even the things that are so minute make you angry? Do they bring out the rage in you? Do you need to look at your inner child? That's the question. Carry on.
And then some of them, like even in an intimate relationship, they don't like being touched.
Ooh, it's getting personal.
Yeah, touch repels them. They can get so agitated that you touch them, and it affects intimacy, and even marriages have broken because of that.
Of course, because that is part of relationship. And then we rationalize it and explain it away and like, yeah, personal touch is not their love language. Really? Really, guys, really? Wow. So really, the problem was the root is that they have a wounded inner child. So they cannot even, like the touch.
Yeah.
It's too stimulating for them. They just can't handle it. Wow. Okay, I have never thought about these things in the way you're making me think about them. That's like shocking. Is it shocking for anybody else? Is it just me? Am I on my own here? Guys, there's 12 of us here. Please tell me that I'm not on my own. But I did not realize that people that don't like being touched, they are not tactile, they don't like being touched, that is a problem based on a wounded inner child. Am I alone? Did you guys know that? Let's see, show of hands. Who knew that? I didn't. I've never thought about it. I've never even thought about that. I thought, like, my explanation was like, oh yeah, it's not their love language. Yes, eye opener, 100%. 100%. You are opening our eyes to so many things. I'm like, ooh, okay, we have work to do. We have work to do. Carry on.
And then they also, okay, like it's different individuals, they present differently. And then there's also what we call a coach prostitution.
We've seen it. We have seen it. Yeah.
So, like I know that I've just seen brand fluency here. I'll use her example. I know that brand fluency is doing brands. I've done a brand class with her. So you find that I go to brand fluency today. She takes me through the brand class. tomorrow there's another coach who is doing branding. I also attend. I still go to so many different, doing the same thing. You know, it's okay to go to brand fluency. It's okay to go to sustainable health with Yunis Ogada.
Yeah.
Those are two different things. But if you are attending 3 to 4 coaches
Yes.
who are doing the
With
same
the same
thing, then there's a problem, because you cannot make decisions.
So indecision is a
is a,
symptom of a
yes,
wounded inner child.
yes.
Hi, positive changes with Felicia. Hi, Felicia. We are talking about the inner child and how your inner child presents. If you have a wounded inner child, how do you present? How do you make decisions? How do you do life? How does it show up? How you do anything is how you do everything. So if you have a wounded child, you will present the same way consistently with all the negatives that come with a wounded inner child. And that's what we're talking about. She's told us about wounded leaders produce wounded nations. Wounded pastors and clergy produce wounded congregation. Wounded teachers produce wounded students. Wounded husband and wounded wife produce fragmented and dysfunctional marriages. Where are you? Do you have issues with your inner child? Can you make decisions? Are you emotionally eating? Do you have insomnia? Do you have problems with your money? Do you have self development? Those are just some of the things we've touched on. Are you indecisive? Are you having coach prostitution? I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Are you prostituting where coaches are concerned? Is there a word like that? Oh my God. Wow. These are just a few. Like she said, she has a list of 50.
You know, the coach prostitution comes through indecision. Why don't you sit in a quiet place and say, Father God, show me where I should go and get my brand done, my brand fluency.
Yes.
Instead of having 7, you are reading you are going on the website for brand fluency. You are going to the program, the website for brand literacy. You are going to program for brand bananas. You know, several, and then even when you don't even want to sit and ask God, you just go to brand fluency. You say, no, I didn't get the results I wanted. You go to brand bananas. I didn't get you go to the same brand programs with different brand coaches.
And branding is branding.
It's branding.
Wow. Indecision.
You
cannot decide. You have issues with your inner child. How many people are indecisive? Yeah, some people don't want to be accountable for their own decisions. 100%. That's an issue with the inner child. They are lacking identity. Oh my God, yes. This even for me, this is like mind blowing. I'm like, ooh, okay, we have work. Wow, absolutely.
There's something that I noticed when I was in the UK. You find that maybe a man was married and then maybe they separated with the wife, and then he goes and gets a dog, and then he says, you know what? I'm just gonna be having a dog. I don't want to associate with people. So when you find yourself that you do not want to have people company around you, you prefer the company of animals instead, it's because you've not dealt with that wound.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So now isolation becomes the thing that is showing you that you have an issue with the inner child. So are you isolating yourself from people Are you preferring non-people relationships? And I'm saying non-people because you could have a relationship with so many other things, not just animals. So are you isolating yourself from people? Think about that. It's a symptom of a wounded inner child. What are you going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? This is so important for us to understand. Our inner child impacts so much more than we think it does because it's the soul. Because I'm here telling you all about your body, about how to live a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. And you go to church or you go to your religious setting and you're taught about how to grow your spiritual part. What about the soul? What about that inner child? Who looks after the inner child? Because I think this is where we get lost. We deal with the spiritual. We are very good at that. We deal with the physical, but we forget that bit, the soul, the inner child. That gets left behind. So these other areas are going up, but we are not quite moving the way we should be moving because that inner child is stuck.
Yeah. Shall I
They're
share
still
something?
stuck in where they got wounded.
Yeah. Shall I
Everything
share?
else, and we are wanting everything to be holistic. It cannot be holistic.
Let me share this. Yeah, let me share this insight now that you've mentioned. That's very powerful what you are sharing, Yunis. You know, okay, I have a diagram, but I didn't bring it.
Yeah.
Because we are created as three parts.
Yeah.
So it's like a bridge. Your inner child is actually in the center. And then on this side is your body. And then on this side is the spirit of the living
So it's
God.
like a H. H.
Yes.
Think of
yes.
the letter H.
So that bridge, so your soul is actually at the center. So if your soul is wounded, it will affect your spirit and it will also affect your body. So if you don't heal your soul, don't think it shall be well even with your spirit, because when you are wounded in the soul, do you know that even that connection with God is actually compromised?
Yes. Oh
And
my
do you
goodness.
know? Yes. And do you know even that connection with the body, because the soul has ears. You know, we work on this on the soul gates. It has all the five senses. Sometimes it you know, like it has, you know, like when you do the program, you start understanding when the soul is speaking to you and when the spirit is speaking to you. So when the soul is speaking to you, the soul can even tell you time to eat. And you are busy
Then you say
doing
to the
something.
body,
Yeah.
you would
So
interpret if you are told it's time to eat. Honestly, I would interpret that as my stomach is telling me it's time to eat. It's the body
yes.
that is telling me it needs some energy or some nutrients.
Yeah. So your soul is communicating to the body. It's giving it the
Wow.
wrong message that it's time to eat. So you see, if your soul is not healed, it affects your body and it also affects your spirit. Because let's say if it's time for you to pray, your soul may say it's time to sleep. You are tired. Tomorrow is a work day.
Wow.
And you'll actually
Guys,
go to sleep. You'll actually say, tomorrow is a work day, let me go to sleep. So your relationships are affected by your inner child, which is the soul.
wow. So it's not, remember, it's a H.
Yeah.
You have the body, you have the spirit, and that's the part,
Yeah.
the bridge, the bridging part for the H.
Yeah.
Wow. If that connection is not happening, we have problems. We have a dysfunctional being in the body, being in the spirit, and being in our soul. So the lesson that we are learning today is, we've been talking about your body. We will talk about your spirit. It's coming up. But today we're talking about your soul. The bridge. That bridge. The bridging part of the H. That's what we're talking about. Is it wounded? And is it the reason why you're not making the progress that you want and desire? It's time to inwardly digest. Are you bleeding onto everyone that is around you? Yes, the New King James Version says, "Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health," that's the body, "just as your soul prospers." Even it's there in the scripture. You prosper in health, you prosper in the spirit, and you prosper in the soul. But we've neglected the soul. Today, you better go and repent and ask for forgiveness from your soul for the neglect that you've neglected it. You've worked on your body, you've worked on your spirit. What about the soul? What about the bridge? Food for thought. We came to learn, and learning, we are learning. Oh my God. My eyes, can you see my eyes? They're open like this. Because I'm like blown by the knowledge that is being shared here on this life. It's a shame that you have not shared with another 10 people who would come and learn about this and be helped like we have been helped. So, Bethy, because our time is far gone, if somebody needs help, what should they do?
They should reach out to me. I take them through the assessment. I have almost 50 questions, and every time I get a download, I add. It started off with 40, and now it has reached 50. And we just go through the assessment, and then we work together.
So if you're not following her, if you look at the top, you will see my name and you will see her name. Follow, 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 follow. If you're not following me and you want to know the answer that Sandra has just asked, does the spirit affect the soul, which has greater influence? Now, Sandra, that's our next live. That's what we will be talking about in the next live. So make sure you come and bring others with you, right? Because we've been talking about the body, and if you haven't been joining our lives, if you go back on my profile, you will see the discussions we've had previously about the body, right? Today we are talking about the soul. We're going to bring someone that will talk about the spirit, so that we can make it complete, because we are 3 in 1. It's a triangle, or it's a H. I like the H actually. It's a H. Body, soul, spirit. They are all connected. You can't work with one without the other. You have to work with all the 3. Now, we've been neglecting the soul. And unfortunately, that soul, for some of us, has been wounded and is still wounded. It is time to get the healing. If you're not following Bethy, now's the time. If you're not following me, you got to follow, because you need the next part. How can they contact you? What is it that you'd like them to do? Do you want them to DM you the word heal?
Yes, please.
So if you have identified from this life that you need that inner child healing, she's ready. If you need healing for your body, I'm ready.
Yes.
If you need healing for your soul, your inner child, the bridge, she's ready. And then we're going to bring someone that will talk to us about the other part of the H, the spirit. We're going to talk about the spirit. And when we talk about the spirit, we will look at how does our spirit affect our wholeness, our holistic health in terms of the body, the soul, and the spirit. Is your inner child wounded? Do you have issues with making decisions? Are you bleeding onto other people? Do you have a fragmented soul? Did you come into a relationship in parts and now you are hurting people because hurt people hurt people? Do you have issues with emotional eating? Do you have issues with your money? How are you relating with your money? It's all linked to your inner child. Do you have extra weight that you're carrying on you because you've been eating your feelings and not feeling your feelings? You've not been addressing your feelings. That's an issue with your inner child. What are you going to do about it now that you know? Are you having self-development instead of self-development? Those courses you bought that you haven't done, I think you better do them. You still have another 3 weeks of December. It's time. But if you don't deal with the actual root, which is the wounded inner child, even what you're doing and trying to do will still drag. The progress you want to see, you will not see it because there is still a wounded inner child. You need your inner child healed for complete wholeness, holistic wholeness. And Bethy is your girl. Do you work with male and female?
Yes, I actually started working with male after I started working with in the marriage moisturizer, because the women will come to me and they say, Bethy, I'm going through this and this. And then you are treating, like when I work with them, it actually filters to the man. But I realize that even the men sometimes need help.
Need it. Yes. So there you go. She does both men and women, adults, not children, right? However, when you heal the adults, you heal the children.
Yeah, automatically.
Because now they are no longer bleeding onto the children. So that's what we are saying. Become self-aware. Are you bleeding onto others because you have a wounded inner child who's bleeding? What influence are you having on the people around you, on the environment around you? Are you bringing healing or are you bringing hurt? Because you cannot bring both. It's one or the other. And how you do anything is how you do everything. And it stems from your inner child. So if you're not following her, please follow her. If you're not following me, please follow me. Let's continue this conversation because we've got to address the other part that's missing, the spiritual aspect. And that will tell us how is that affecting our soul? How is that affecting our body? Are we being whole? That's really important. I know just the person that I'm going to bring for us. And I will put it out very shortly. I'll reach out to them. I'll have a discussion with them. And I know they will agree. We'll have that other discussion about the other part of the H. So we can be whole, fully whole. Thank you, everyone that has watched this live. If you're watching it on replay, if you comment and say replay so that we know, and give us your takeaway. We have taken away so much gems from this conversation. I personally have taken so much. Thank you so much, Bethy. You have literally opened my eyes and my ears. I'm like, whoo. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you too. Thank you too for hosting
put
me.
down your comments and say, what did you take away from today? This is going to be on both our profiles. We'll share it on both our profiles, so you'll be able to watch it from the beginning if you joined towards the end, so you can be able to understand all these things that she mentioned that are signs and symptoms of a wounded inner child, so you can actually be able to seek the help that you need, so you don't bleed on to us, because we're the people in your area. So thank you everyone for coming. I think we will end it there. Bethy, what's your last parting shot for them?
First, I want to thank you so much, Yunis, for having me on this live. I really appreciate. God bless you for the work you do.
It's been my pleasure.
You know that next year I'll also be coming for my body. So
yes.
Thank you so much for having me, because we need each other.
I
cannot deal with what Yunis does or what we have Joanne here, Purpose Cultivator. We all need each other. You can't just go and get a self-help book and say, okay, I have issues with my health. Let me read about what foods I should eat. We need each other. God created us to be a community. So we need each other. And I just want to say thank you so much also to those who logged in. You've been with us here from when we started Purpose Cultivator. I really celebrate you, Coach Joanne, and everybody else who has managed to log in. We have Brand Fluence. We have all the ladies. I can't mention all the names, but I just want to say,
yes.
all the ladies who have joined, we want to say thank you so much. And Yunis, it's thanks to you for even having me onto your platform.
And you brought the fire. You came with all the heavy guns.
I have more.
I look forward to more of these conversations because we need it. We need it. And these are the platforms that we have to now learn about these things. Absolutely. So what's your parting shot for us?
Okay, the parting shot is please get healed so that those around you are not bleeding. Please get healed so that your children do not carry your mess. Your mess needs to be cleaned out so that your children can be better citizens. Other people should not suffer because of you. So please, even if you don't care about yourself, do care about the children, the people around you, your husband, the people you work with, the environment. Anyone you are connected to will be affected because there's a principle in psychology, sociology called transference. It means that when you have somebody in the environment with a certain energy, an energy is transferred. So let's do it for other people if we don't want to do it for ourselves. But my idea and my advice to you is get healed. If any of those traits and characteristics I've mentioned are speaking to you, it's time to do something about it. Because if you don't, you are going to pass it on to generational and generations to come.
Wow. I have nothing to add. She has said it all. She has said it all. Get healed so you don't bleed on to everyone that you come into contact with. That's the takeaway. Heal your inner child and get help from the right people in the right places for the right reason. Thank you, everyone. This is the end of our live, and let us know what's your biggest takeaway in the comments. Bethy, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone that has watched with us and will watch this because it's transforming information in here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, let's end this. To unplug it.